Cultbusters. Episode 33 already. I totally forgot what... Oh, last week you all... were traveling back from Rustport. Headed back to Cot Verde, encountered some evil-looking gnolls. Had to take care of them, decided to camp for the night about 2 hours outside of town. And in the morning as well, we will pick up. Cultbusters, what would you like to do?
Obligatory, what is the weather like today?
Oh, it is technically a travel day. Somebody's got to roll for it.
Can I roll for it, or am I still in travel jail?
No, you're still in... I mean, that's up to them.
You could roll it in a game chat.
No, I'm gonna roll it IRL because I have click clack.
They make good noises.
16.
Okay. It seems like it's gonna be another hot one. And it's fairly...
Just from the midday sun.
Yeah, fairly calm and normal, no clouds in the sky.
Ugh, gross, so it's sunny.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks for one of us.
Yeah, why doesn't that bother you, Deep Gnome?
I don't know. I was surprised about that too.
I minor illusion a parasol and hold it over there.
It doesn't actually
Well,
stop the sun,
and
does
it doesn't do anything. It doesn't
Yeah.
do anything because it's a minor illusion, but
Mhm.
it's the thought, right?
Occasionally, Dietrich has a thought.
Yeah.
No, Fair has like their big hat with like the black sheer veil down to scowl behind it at the disgusting sunshine. I guess they will also use the sending stone to message Liren. Just I guess 2 hours outside of town. Where do we meet your contact? Job's done.
My contact will meet with you all at the inn where my contact first saw you all as potential talents.
All right. I'll pass that along to everyone. So I guess that means we're going back to the Roaring Boar back in Fairytown.
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds like a plan.
Guess we don't need to stay there necessarily.
Not necessarily. We'll see how this conversation goes, I suppose.
Give me 1 second to pull the map back up. Because I accidentally reopened. Cot Verde. I reopened Rustport instead of Cot Verde.
We'll be coming in from the north, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll have to basically go all the way across town to get back to Fairytown.
Yes.
And I assume like we kind of saw everything along this route on our way out of town when we went to Rustport.
Mm-hmm.
But like, is there anything of interest on the way? I see like we're passing through what Light Hook, the docks, East District, Trade District.
Yeah, I will
Like
say
anything anything look different than the last time we left it?
nothing looks different. I will say the point of interest is that there is a road basically through the middle of town, and you have like the docks and the trade district on the one side of the road versus Light Hook and like East District on the other side of the road. The quality of the housing and the sizes of them is a stark contrast. Like you look left into Light Hook and the East District when you guys are going through town, and it's these big, beautiful, like elven mansions, and on the other side, it's like rundown, like dock shacks. It's an interesting juxtaposition as you go back into town, but nothing has changed.
And I guess keep an eye out to see if it looks like anyone's keeping an eye out for us.
Okay, make a perception check.
Oh, still sunny. That's a 6.
Can I assist? Can I assist? Or
Yeah.
so I just roll perception?
Yep.
That is a 25.
Okay. As you all travel through town, you naturally are watched by people going about their business and going about their days, but nobody seems too interested in you all or following you.
I will relay that information to the group and then add, but don't feel bad about it. It's just because they don't know us yet.
Okay. Okay. So you all arrive back at the Roaring Boar Inn. Is there anything you would be interested in doing?
I'll just keep an eye out for the contact, I
Okay.
suppose. Have a beer while I wait.
All right.
Yeah, about how long does it take us to get across town?
Cross town's about another 35 minutes with traffic.
Okay.
So it's about almost
So,
it's
like-
almost about 3 hours from the time you messaged him to get there.
Okay. So it'd be like early lunchtime, maybe.
Yes.
Eat something.
Yeah.
Have some lunch.
At least it's not trail rations.
That is true.
or
Speaking of
one
which,
single good berry.
yeah. So I assume, were we just eating good berries the whole time, or should we deduct some rations?
Yeah.
I think
'Cause
some of you said you were going to deduct rations instead of eating good berries.
They're not very filling.
I'd be eating good berries for me, but I'd be deducting rations for Ollie. Because, let's be real, that ain't gonna do shit.
So how many rations? If we're doing rations,
I believe you would deduct 2 one there, one back.
okay. I'll probably, for one of them, I'll do a good berry.
Okay.
So I'll deduct one.
Okay.
How much for lunch and a beer?
I believe the beer here is 2 silver, and lunch is 4.
Okay. I'll pay a gold.
It's like some mixed meat on a meatloaf type mixture on a skewer with some veggies. Probably leftovers, but
I'll
yeah, it's better than a
I'll
ration.
I'll, I'll pay a gold and ask the bartender suggestively if they've heard any good rumors lately.
You know, every time you say this rumor thing, you just remind me of Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
Oh, that was a good
I heard a
show.
rumor.
I heard a rumor.
Do I say rumor that often?
Yes!
Yeah,
Really? I didn't.
her power was insane.
That
Eric,
wasn't something I was aware of.
The Eric Cockra kind of looks down at you from through their beak. Nothing too tasty. There's always a bit of intrigue, but
Well, no news is good news, I suppose.
it's rather boring, actually.
Well, we just got to town. Give us a minute.
Ugh. Kind of goes back to cleaning and getting ready for this evening's festivities.
How crowded is it this time of day?
There's a few barflies.
And do we recognize anyone from the last time we were here?
Not currently. There's nobody currently recognized in here, but no more than a dozen people. Very well spread out, like 2 over in that corner, 2 in another corner. While y'all are waiting, is there anything else?
Just getting beer and food and just sort of keeping an eye on everyone else around who comes and goes.
Yeah.
It is, as most things are here, a eclectic mix. Of people. After enough time to eat lunch has passed, a man fairly well dressed, but not overly so for this part of town, with a little tiny, like, hand badge, for lack of a better word, like a little tiny badge of red and gold metal, kind of like emblazoned into his jacket. I imagine you are the ones I've been called to summon.
I imagine you're our contact.
Yes.
I will just like nod to Emrys and would you like us to present the evidence here or someplace less conspicuous? There are a few dozen people here who are trying to eat, after all.
That is true. I have orders for you to follow me.
Follow you where?
Back to Liren's house for afternoon tea, I believe is what he has planned, but I'm not really cut up to date on those things.
Why have you collect us here then? Why couldn't we just go to Liren's house?
I have no idea.
Well, it's a little strange, but we're happy to have the escort, I suppose.
I think maybe it is hard to convey directions in, what is it, 20 words or whatever that stone lets you say.
We were there. Were we not? Or is that not his house?
No, that was his house within the city.
Oh, multiple houses.
Yes.
I see how it is.
Oh, this is the one with the menagerie then.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah, my guy's got that two-house money.
Anyways, we can either proceed on foot or if you have some sort of travel, I arrived here by horse.
Bring our horses with us, I guess.
And pony.
And pony.
Can't forget Bill.
Every time. You
Sky.
can't forget the pony.
Can't
Her
forget.
name's Sky.
Yeah, her name's Sky.
That was a
Bill.
Hobbit.
Bill.
That was a Hobbit joke. Or a Lord of the Rings joke. Because even though it's a horse, they call him Bill the Pony in Fellowship of the Ring.
I suppose we'll follow him on horseback.
All right. Um, you take the road. You go out of the. Get your horses together. You go across the river. Across that bridge, and up the road along the river on that side, out through the gate on the river itself into the meadows area. As you all make your way past the farmland of the meadows and kind of off the map there into the woods that makes up that western border. Kind of like where the farmland meets the woods right along there. Into a beautiful. I don't know exactly how to describe it. There are multiple rooms to this house that you can see as you kind of approach it, because they are lit up through probably magical means, not the electricity of the city all the way out here. Probably 10 or 12 rooms spread throughout 5 or 6 trees. A different manner of stairs and wooden bridges connecting them here.
Does this guy live in a literal treehouse?
Yes, quite literally, yes. Um as you all tie up your horses, he comes down the stairs from the main entrance. It is good to see you all again. Yes, I assume you don't have too many issues in what I asked.
No issues at all.
A bit of trouble on the road, but nothing we couldn't handle.
Oh, interesting. What was it? I'm always fascinated.
Knolls, I believe.
Ooh, interesting. They
Yeah.
have been known to come through here on occasion.
Well, not anymore.
That must have been a lot of gnolls if you stopped all of them then.
Well, those ones won't be coming through here at least.
Probably, unfortunately, more accurate. Um, did you bring me proof of said transaction?
I'll just nod toward Emrys, who has the bag of holding.
I help hold it out and open it up and hold it out for you.
And show him the 5 heads.
Hold them out one by one, handing him over.
Okay.
I do apologize. A few of them might be a little on the well done side.
Probably preferred. To be completely honest. It's a little gruesome.
It's an end they definitely deserved.
Yes, if with us, if you don't want it done gruesomely, that costs extra.
Yep.
Because that's sort of our default setting.
I like it. I do. We'll take the heads and throw them into like the campfire where some of the guards are sitting probably about 30 feet away from the staircase up away from the entrance to his home. You can never be too careful.
No, I suppose not. So, we've upheld our end of the bargain.
Oh, certainly. Sorry for my delay, if you assumed so. Please come upstairs. And the first room up is kind of like a reading area that you go into. There's like pillows on the floor. There are some like Shea Lounge kind of readings, some bookcases of twisted, knotted wood, essentially, that just can hold books on it that he's put books on over the years. And then leads you down another through the other door in that room, up this wooded area into like the kitchen area, which is also the dining room because there's not a ton of space. Believe it or not. And on the table there is the chests, or 2 chests specifically. Seem to be filled.
Can we see what they're filled with, or do we need to open them?
Not currently. You can open them.
Open them up.
Cool. And inside is the gold requested, or rather offered to you all for the accomplishment of this task.
It was what, 1,000 each?
Yep.
Woot. That's a lot.
This campaign, that's a lot.
Yeah, that is true.
Hey,
As
I'm a deep gnome. I don't carry that much around with me. Usually it's in the wall.
as the others collect their money, I think Dietrich will just maintain eye contact with Liren. Kind of uncharacteristically, because like really haven't seen him see money and not immediately like jump at it, but and he'll just say, "And what about the alternative arrangement that I proposed the last time we spoke?"
And that's just probably more difficult to arrange than I previously thought. Okay, I don't remember if you at who. I believe I have my notes wrong here, actually, that I pulled out. You asked him for the poker game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had that as you asking dude up in Rustport for some reason in my notes. I do not know why.
Yeah, no, I asked Leon about
Yeah.
it. Would he stake me? And
Is that just proving more difficult? Mainly because it is for their enjoyment, and it is unusual for them to potentially be outplayed by a pro.
I mean, should I? I don't like admitting this, but should I give you the details about how shitty of a pro I was? Would that alleviate their concerns?
I have no idea what you could do to alleviate their concerns, if anything. That is just the difficulties that I've been having. They're worried about me staking someone in the game who is a ringer.
They're not wrong. But I have confidence we can make this happen.
I can certainly continue to try, but that is just the truth of what has happened the last 2 days.
Well, I appreciate you looking into it. And with that, I think Dietrich will just start scooping up his share of the gold. If
It's in
there's
bags.
not okay. If there's not a firm agreement on staking me for this poker game, he'll take the gold. And if it happens later and he's got to give it back, he'll figure that out.
Um, would you all like some tea? I typically have afternoon tea around this time, or would you like to go through a walk in the menagerie first?
Well,
Can
I'm
it be?
definitely curious about the creatures you keep.
I'm definitely not curious about the creatures you keep.
I think Dietrich won't say anything, but he's mostly curious about Liren. So I think anything that could possibly shed insight into who this guy is. So I think he'd go on the tour, but probably just hang in the back.
I'll follow either way.
Okay. It is an interesting array of creatures in these cages. And they're all fairly big for the size of the creature, too. He has things from like vultures and hawks that are fairly common to baboons, blood hawks. And for those who know what it is, he has a sturge, several sturges in a cage.
Anything from the deep?
No. Snow foxes. Displacer beasts. And I would say if they're on the tour, Fair very easily can feel kind of like the magic pulsing off the cage. Like the displacer beast can displace themselves within the exhibit, but can't break the barrier outside of it. Some like tigers and that kind of thing.
Any bears?
No, but he does have hyenas. And there's also all sorts of, I would say, like, typically normal birds for this area, such as ravens and things that kind of hang out like they are part of the collection, even though they probably aren't. Antagonizing some of the other birds that are within inside there, things of that nature. It's an interesting collection. He already has towards the back of his estate here on the tour. He does have an area set up fairly big, nice cave, running water. Probably set up for an owlbear of some kind, judging by the sleeping quarters and everything.
Is this like up in the trees? Is it all built up in the trees, or is this like on the ground underneath, or
Some of
like
the
nearby?
smaller animals and the birds and things are in different tree exhibits and up there, but there's also at the back, because it's the entrance is at the back of the house. There are also larger areas have been set up and netted off for the ones that need more space on the ground on his
Okay.
estate. It's fairly well put together.
So could I ask him, like, so what line of work are you in exactly, or is this all family money?
Imports and exports, if you must know.
Oh, I just like to know who I'm working for, especially if this is going to become a longer term relationship.
Understandable. Things need to get into the city, things need to get out of the city, and that is where I come in.
Things need to get in and out without the authorities knowing.
Sometimes, yes. That normally costs extra.
So you're a smuggler.
I've been known to do it on occasion. It is not something I make a habit of.
Mostly legitimate, sometimes smuggler.
Yes. See, the less you do it, and the more legitimate you appear. When you need to do it, the authorities are more likely to look the other way in case there's a missed dot on an I on the paperwork, so to speak.
Smart. So other than exotic wildlife, what kinds of things do you import and export, legitimately or otherwise?
Mainly wines from the branches, in the hills we have here. People up the river, up the lake and up the river in Linnaeus, like it. I believe it makes it all the way over to Rhineport. And the dwarves also enjoying it. And we ship that every place. Sometimes gear things.
Oh. I can certainly tell there's more you're not telling me, but I look forward to finding it out at a
There's
future
always
time.
more to discover about someone, isn't there?
Usually.
Do you do any of your own brewing or distilling?
I do have some of the vines on the hill are I own, and I've bought them over time. Um, but typically we all take a different step in the process, and I just happen to be the one that was in the exports business.
Ah, I see.
It's kind of a shared capitalistic venture, so to speak.
So let me know if I need to make like an insight check for this or something. But the import export business is 100% upfront, right?
Roll an insight check.
Okay. Dropped my dice. Yep, just passive 16.
Okay. Possibly? It's the way he talks through talking about it a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
Okay. No, I think Dietrich will just like keep going on the tour, let the others ask the questions, but he's not taking his eyes off this guy.
Okay. Speaking of, does anybody else have any questions while we're on the tour?
Any interesting stories about any of your acquisitions? And which of the creatures are your favorites?
The Sturge are probably my favorites. They are typically nocturnal. They also happen to only consume blood as their primary source of food.
Do they prefer any particular source?
Typically the ones you see out in the wilds, typically prefer mammal blood, such as humans and elves and dwarves and things. However, these are the third generation that I have had here. And we've gotten them acclimated to smaller game blood such as rats and rabbits that we throw in. Other than that, I think the Bloodhawks are probably my favorite just because they're a bird of prey, but they have this particularly lovely crimson color about them. Very rare, too.
Can I find, is there which animal in Dietrich's estimation, if it were ever to come to this, what would be the best animal for him to wake up with their head in his bed? Because I'm getting Godfather vibes from this dude. This is what's his nuts, the movie producer.
Oh man. Make a nature check.
Okay, this should go great. 7. Oh wait, guidance. I keep forgetting guidance. 9.
Just I was gonna say, just from a pure rarity standpoint, even on a 9, probably the Displacer Beast.
Okay.
Kind of hard to catch, but
Not gonna do anything now, but if it comes to that.
yeah. Cool. But yes, it's taken me. The collection ebbs and flows. I sell things and trade things with other collectors around the world, and it's in a good place right now. I wish, I had a few more things to round this out, but bygones be bygones. And that.
Other than the owlbear, what other sorts of things would be on your list?
Well, I have the snow fox. I would very much like a dire wolf for the collection. To be fair, to round that out. Also for the smaller collection in the cages up there, possibly something like a pseudo dragon, maybe.
I think I've come across one pseudo dragon in my travels, but I don't think that one would be for sale.
I've come across several different libraries and such in my time. Say interesting, but have no interest in living in cages, and I kind of understand it, but would still like one for my collection regardless.
Aren't pseudo dragons sentient?
Semi-sentient, they do have the capacity for emotion and limited telepathy.
Perhaps the one I knew was special then. The one I knew was smarter than I was. Not that that's saying much.
Yes, no, they interesting. They can essentially have emotional. The simple ones have emotional telepathy. They can make you feel as they feel and communicate in limited words. Typically common or elvish or whichever they are exposed to in the libraries. Fascinating creatures.
A useful pet, to be sure.
Also much similar to owlbears, since they are thought to be the results of experiments by mages in eons past gone wrong.
And also similar to owlbears in that private ownership is frowned upon,
Questionable at best.
illegal,
I was gonna say questionable
highly
at
illegal.
best. Questionable at best, but
I'm sorry. I believe this guy is like an import export wildlife enthusiast the same way I believe Jabba the Hutt was just a benevolent rancor enthusiast living in a house in the middle of the sand. Like I I don't trust this guy at all. Not opposed to working for him some more, but like there's definitely he's into some shit that we have no idea about, and it's wigging me out above game. Like the grand tour of his private zoo. We are 100% gonna have to fight all of these creatures eventually. I'm yeah.
Well, the sending stone you gave me, shall I keep that or did you want me to return that to you?
If you don't mind, they're very hard to come by.
I understand. I'll
We have
take
our
it.
own ways of getting messages to you, should we require.
They're typically
Sweet.
given to people for different jobs when they're out of the town, city, as it were.
Fair will like take the stone out and start to hand it back, but then hesitate, like unless you have anything else for us at the moment.
Not currently, since I would have to pay extra for you to do it non-sloppily.
Ah, I see. I'll give the stone back.
But, yes, perhaps now we have tea.
Certainly.
Takes you back up through the gardens, up the staircase, into the main house once again, and back into the kitchen and slash dining room. Where there is now, instead of 2 chests of money on the table, sitting 3 different teapots and a couple different cups at each place. A little pitcher of cream, a bowl of sugar. Or rather, a pitcher of milk, a bowl of sugar.
Oh, what are our choices this afternoon?
They make random things for me every week. We typically have a chamomile and then, something else picked out by my chef, I'm sure. It's delicious. Everything normally is. One kind of smells like mint and jasmine, and the other one smells more like a traditional like black tea, along with chamomile.
The black tea for me.
I'll try the mint and jasmine.
It is very strong and probably would have been good about 30 minutes ago before the tour through the garden. The black tea is also probably one of the best teas you've ever had. All of this, of course, is real elvish and from Linnaeus and their gardens. I get it imported, or rather imported myself. Pours cup of chamomile and drinks it.
Surprise me.
Take your pick.
How many different ones are there again?
3.
3?
It is amazing to me, at least in a place like this, how different it can be just 20 minutes away from the city and the hubbub of it.
Third one.
There can be stark differences just on two sides of a street in the city.
That is certainly true. You noticed that as well when you were leaving and coming back into town?
No hard to miss.
Black tea it is, far as you.
Black tea.
Yes, unfortunately, the systems in place in this town keep it that way.
And what sort of systems are those?
Mainly the structures, the people who own the power sources in the city, regulated, how much it costs, that sort of thing.
And it really makes that much of a difference, these power sources. Enough to keep half the town in poverty while the other half flourishes.
One half's charging the other half for the electricity. Do you think the people that run the company pay for their own power?
Does the Brotherhood run the power sources or simply have an agreement with them?
No, the Brotherhood ran their own lines underneath the city to power the undergrounds, and more rose out of the poverty rather than became a cause of it, or is a cause of it.
But what I don't understand is this. If having this electricity is bleeding half of the city dry because they can't afford it, then why do they buy it? Like you don't need electricity. We can go to any number of other cities that don't have electricity. The city we were at before this didn't have it. The city we'll be at after this probably won't have it either
A lot of them don't anymore.
anymore.
Yeah. They bought it at first, and then prices would go up and down over time, and just got sick of it.
So why do they keep doing it if they can't afford it?
I don't know. This is an interesting. I'm not sure if I'm using this word right. In common, idiosyncrasy within our society here.
I don't know that word, but sure.
That there's a $5 word. I don't got $5.
a hiccup in the otherwise fairly mundane way we go about our business.
How long have you had the electricity here again?
18, 20, 22, 25 years. You have to understand when you are an elf and have this lifespan, decades kind of blur together a little bit sometimes.
Liren,
So not very
something tells
long.
me.
As a fellow elf, not very long.
Yes.
Liren, something tells me there's nothing mundane about the way you go about your business.
That is certainly true. mean, for the most part, the average person in the city wouldn't even know or doesn't know how they generate it either. Which is interesting to say the least.
And what's so interesting about it?
The fact they won't tell anyone how they do it.
Who is they? Who does control the power here?
A few well-off individuals.
Well off, I imagine, because of the power. They rose to this position within the last few decades.
Yes, and even richer than me.
Rich enough to play in one of these poker games, perhaps.
That is primarily who plays in the poker games.
The more I'm hearing about these games, the more I desperately need to be in that room.
I imagine this would be the room where it happens, and most of the discussions that make the city go round are taking place. Which also might be why they don't want you in that room.
What if I wasn't a ringer? What if I was just your friend?
I believe the more I'm talking about it with Susan, the more I understand why. They don't want someone to... I won't put this gently, but blow their shit up.
Oh, Liren, come on. Who do you think you're talking to? I haven't blown anything up in days.
Looks over his shoulder out the window to the campfire. Okay.
Has it been days, weeks?
2 days.
Wait,
17
what did I
days.
blow? What did I blow up?
15 days since the ship. 15, 16
Okay.
days since the ship.
So you could actually boast weeks and be correct.
Yeah, I haven't blown anything up in 2 weeks.
I mean, I will certainly continue to try, but I understand why they're not interested. Or why they wouldn't. Be
I understand their hesitance. Would it help if I met them myself?
It's entirely possible, since that might help if that could be arranged.
Or would it help if I were someone else and I'll just minor illusion myself into just like a human who looks well dressed with a tailored suit
I
and then
possibly
change
have an
myself
idea.
back?
I possibly have an idea, but I would probably need a couple days.
Or sorry, not minor illusion, just disguise self and then drop it.
I would need a couple days, but I might have an idea.
Time I've got. And what I'm after is money.
I do have, unfortunately, later this afternoon business in the city, but feel free to stay at the estate. All of the rooms with the important things are already locked and under magical protection, so don't even try it. But feel free to walk around the zoo in the unlocked rooms of the house, and make your way back whenever you feel comfortable.
We appreciate the hospitality.
Of course.
May I browse your library?
The one down the stairs, certainly.
When he's out of earshot, I'll whisper to Fair, like I assume that means there's another library that you're not allowed into, right?
That's about what I heard.
We'll have to put a pin in that for later.
Plenty of books to keep me occupied for the moment.
Sounds good. Do you all like to head out, or is there anything you'd like to, besides the library, is there any place you'd like to explore before you all head out?
I'll just kind of generally walk around the house in whatever areas we're allowed into. Just trying to get a sense of who this guy is and learn as much about him as I can by like seeing the way he lives.
Um, yeah. It's extremely and meticulously decorated. Down to like the different types of woods that were wrapped around the existing trees to make interesting patterns that were also living and would grow into this house. This took 50, 60 years to grow up into the building like you saw and was meticulously planned. There's tree branches that were grafted onto other trees because of the angle they grew at would be perfect for a lantern to hang over and come through like the trees at the right light to illuminate this building and illuminate this room in a certain way. All the furniture is extremely well built and elven made that you see as well.
And I'm just getting like Jabba the Hutt slash Jackie Treehorn vibes.
Good God.
He's just got like a super nice house outside the city and like does whatever the fuck there.
In the library, by the way, Fair. With your passive investigation, there are a lot of books about Elvish history, Linnaeus, Cot Verte. There's also a sizable portion of it dedicated to elementals. Which is certainly out of the norm.
Like creation, study,
Study of naturally occurring ones,
summoning.
summoning, that kind of thing.
Is it predominantly like books written in Elvish, all in
Yes.
Elvish, other
All in
okay,
Elvish, yeah.
all in Elvish, okay. I'll go for like the oldest looking Elvish history books I can find and sort of page through some of them.
And I think at a certain point, after Dietrich's been gone for a little while, he'll come back into the library, see Fair reading a book, and he'll just ask, "So who's getting railed in that one?"
It's
Yeah.
not that kind of history book.
No, and it is interesting. It's about them going from basically what were like outposts of Ceres to basically being their own cities that don't rival necessarily in size, but do rival them in wealth
Okay.
and natural resources.
And from how long ago is this?
Pre-devastation. And then post-devastation, when they got more land and better water situations, that's really when the population exploded.
Dietrich, it's not that kind of history book unless you're asking how comfortable the pillows are, in which case I don't think I quite feel like finding out right now. Feels a little awkward while he's gone.
Rather he did it
He's
while
just
he was there.
left us. No, just while he's just left us here.
Just
No,
the way you worded that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be that kind of house guest, not without permission, at least.
Yeah. We'll just hand him one of the books and keep reading.
Dietrich actually speaks Elvish, so he'll page through it with mild interest, but like after a couple minutes, it's so dry that I just don't think he has the attention span for it.
Sorry about that. It sounded like there was somebody banging on like the back of my house. Turned out to be car doors next door in the driveway.
Whoa.
That's weird.
Somebody was banging in back of your house?
No, like on the siding, but it was car doors on the.
I mean, whatever position you want to use, that's like your business.
Jesus Christ. And that's the story of how Lenny rolled a disadvantage for the entire rest of a D&D session.
Fuck.
True story.
When I make jokes like this, half the time you get really exasperated, and half the time you give me inspiration.
I just depends
And
on
I
what kind of
don't
mood
know
I'm
what
in.
it's gonna be.
I just
I
depends
don't
on what
know.
mood I'm
I don't
in.
know what kind of mood you're in. I'm just gonna try it
That's true.
50% of the time, it works every
Every
time.
every time.
Schrodinger's inspiration.
That's true. Yeah.
But I guess if I have time, just browse a couple of the books about elementals too.
Okay.
Can I find a place that's like above fair?
What are you doing?
Oh, what are you doing?
I think I know where this
Well,
is going.
I have a little friend. And Farzu
Oh,
was
no.
bored.
Oh no. Is she gonna spell out radiant? Or forget what were the other ones? Some pig.
Just might
Salutate?
dangle,
Salutations.
might just kind of dangle something down while she's reading.
Make
Wow,
Make a
rude.
stealth check.
Whoa, Farzu. Whoa.
Make a stealth check.
Gladly,
I keep forgetting he's proficient in it.
I am. But this is wood, so I don't get advantage.
That is true.
Oh god, that's horrible. That's a 16.
So I think I know enough about Fair's history with spiders that I think I'm probably just sitting back to see what happens and what they do to him.
Like, you're reading the book,
Like, oh, this will be good.
and
They're gonna murder him.
it's like the kid trying to be quiet, but ends up making more noise. You hear Farzu come into the room, because your pass is like, what, 19 or 20?
Perception 19, yeah.
God.
And you don't really think anything of it, because, you guys have kind of free reign of the house. And then you hear the legs as he lets it go, like, onto the wall. And I'll leave it up to you to decide what you want to do at that point.
So it's just like on the wall nearby.
Yeah, because that's what you want, was having it go up on the ceiling and drop down, right? Yeah, but you hear it immediately as he, like, instead of, like, the paw print, the spider making noise on, like, flesh, you hear it start to make sounds on the wood. So I put it on, like, a pillar on the wall.
Fair tries not to look bothered, but is definitely watching it. Like, glancing up every couple seconds to see where it's at.
Actually, I'll get the spider to write out hi somewhere, and then wave at Fair, but closer down to where she can see him. Trying to be friendly.
After a while from reading your book, you will look up and see a spider web that just says hi in the spider web.
Very cute. Keep that thing away from me. Unless you would like to summon another.
Well, I think this one can get anywhere small, so. Oh, that gives me an idea.
What the next 4 nibbles is gonna take?
No.
Like you realize you're one cantrip away from like all we have to do is like mind sliver.
No, this one's only got 1 HP.
Yeah, no,
Fuck
they
it.
all do. It's just
Fuck it, I cast fireball.
right.
Kill it with fire.
Kill it with fire.
Do you mean firebolt? No, I mean fireball. It's a spider.
It's a spider. Incinerate the house.
Might go see about finding some interesting things. Because he can probably squeeze under the doors.
He can certainly try.
Yeah, let's go
Kitty.
check out a locked door.
Okay. You let your spider down, crawls down your leg, goes to the door. There's a space big enough for it to fit underneath it. Walks up to it. Boom. Boom.
Magic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him to in like the dining room. Make a whole bunch of different webs saying hi.
Okay.
Like 40 of them.
Oh,
Just the
Fair,
entire
I-
ceiling covered.
fair. In Nymeria, I think we probably ought to get back to town. I think Farzu's getting bored.
I would also like to get back to town. That sounds great.
And this is why you bring games for your toddler.
I wouldn't mind going back down and talking to the Brotherhood again, if we could. Now that we know who Lirid is, I think it would be smart to ask around about him. Ask some other shady characters about him.
Second opinions.
Do our due diligence, find out what manner of elf we're really dealing with here.
Fair looks a little disappointed, but closes the book and puts it back on the shelf. What time of day is it right now?
It's close to 3:30, 4 o'clock. Got a couple hours before sundown.
Plus, I think we'll want dinner too, and then I'm not sure when he's coming back.
True.
And we all seem to be newly not quite as poor.
Fair will actually consider for a moment and then take one of the books on elementals, and then I don't know, tear a page out of one of their notebooks and write a message in Elvish that they've borrowed one and will return it when able, and leave like the scrap of paper in the shelf where the book they took had been.
Okay. All right. I'll heading back. Easily done. Take the 40 minutes back. Where
It's still
all
sunny out.
it is still sunny out.
Would you mind if we took our break here? I really have to pee.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys can take your break when you guys get back to town. How were you guys
Cool.
getting into the underground? The one by the inn again?
I assumed so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, works for me.
Just so I can have that. All right, sounds good. See you guys back in a few minutes.
Cool.
Alrighty, hi. Welcome back. As you guys head back down into the underground of Cod Verite. What would y'all like to do?
I'd like to cautiously try to suss out like who's in charge and where they are, and can I talk to them? Like not just like shopkeepers, but like people who work for the Brotherhood. Like maybe not somebody super high level because like I want to actually be able to get in and talk to them, but
Okay.
and cautiously because I trust the Brotherhood even less than I trust Lirin, just because of what Willie told us.
Fair enough. Make a perception check and an insight check for me.
All right. Can I do guidance on both or just one?
Pick one.
All right. I'm gonna roll a perception without guidance. That is a 23,
Okay.
and then the insight will be with guidance. It's a 17.
Okay. It is not hard to pick out the Brotherhood members from their uniforms. Excuse me. At all, really. The darker blues, the midnight blues and black robes that they and clothes they wear kind of give them away. The one thing that is harder to see on the uniform unless you get up close is the tiny little like silver insignia they have. Some of them have it on their pocket, some of them have it on their upper sleeve, some have it on their lower sleeve, but they're typically somewhere on the left side. On the 17 insight, that is probably some type of rank and file order system.
Mm-hmm.
So while you don't know what symbols mean what, you have some idea that there are different ranks within the Brotherhood. And the less you see of that symbol, the higher up they probably are. To give you an idea of how to proceed.
I'm gonna try to find the one who the one for whom I can see the least amount of the symbol possible. So that the highest ranking one that I can find as best as I can tell.
Okay. Do you all, this is an all thing, want to, sorry, want to just wander around the underground to duck in a shop, duck in one of the bars to try and find this person, do something else while Dietrich is doing this?
I'll go to a bar.
Okay.
I want to go back to some of the shops now that we've got some money to spend. And I also imagine buying something a bit more expensive might attract attention.
Okay.
Possibly in a good way? Well, probably not in a good way, but possibly in a helpful and informative way.
Because there are shops that are clearly owned and operated by the Brotherhood.
Were any of those like on the highest level, or would we have to go like deeper than we went last time?
You would have to go down to the second level.
Okay. Well, theoretically, there are more magic items down there as well. Shall we venture down to the second level and see who's
Yeah.
around?
Well, go ahead. I'll meet up with you a little later. And I'll pull out the wand of sending and just say, if I need you, I'll let you know.
All right.
Farsi, are you gonna go magic shopping or are you gonna go try and to the bar still?
Ours.
Bars. Okay. Nymeria, I will say Emerus would probably go to the bar with Farsi to be sure.
I guess I'll go to the bar with the boys because I still haven't got to use my fancy bow yet to its full potential, so there's no point in going shopping.
Also, the boys need a chaperone.
Why do we need a chaperone?
This is very true.
You like me to
Mr.
pull out the mountain of evidence that you need a chaperone?
Hey, remember that time you drank that beer that made you not remember 24 hours?
Forget me now.
Oh, what?
Exactly.
Makes you forget. What?
Of course, you don't remember it.
Oh, God.
Okay. Guys, I will say selectively choose your venue and find one that has more of the Brotherhood in it than some of the other bars in the area. Despite the colors of the Brotherhood, this place is called the Red Door.
Does it have a red door?
It actually does not. The door is made. It's more like a saloon door, not a true door. And is made of melted down, like swords and daggers. That you can still like clearly see the blades and the handles of.
Deceptive marketing.
I mean, I'm not there, but blood,
Kind
red
of.
door,
Yeah.
and it's made of swords.
Mhm.
Like, that's a great fucking name.
If you push it wrong, you could probably still cut yourself on some of the edges. So
Hell yeah.
hence the Red Door. It smells like smoky, but not like tobacco smoke, more like campfire smoke when you walk inside.
Okay. I'll go up to the bar and see what they got.
The Minotaur kind of cranks his head over the bar, looks down. We got ale.
Is that it?
Pulls out a glass bottle. I also have whiskey.
Ooh. How much for that?
8 silver.
I'll give him 8 silver.
Emerus is going to be smart and give him a gold and also order a whiskey.
Yeah, I'll give him a gold as well. I don't feel like breaking down gold money.
Thank you. Goes back to polishing glasses. When you guys walked in, you got marked and noted. Not marked in a physical sense, but like marked as potentially not from around here, and the Brotherhood members occasionally doing the glances at you guys, trying to figure out what exactly you guys are about. As you guys sit down for your whiskey. Bear, you can go into any particular shops.
Magic weapon shops.
What type of weapon?
Swords.
Okay. Okay. It doesn't take you too long to find a shop that specializes in more of the magical weaponry than the mundane. Kind of a older looking elf, long white hair, a few wrinkles, an eye glossed over. What can I help you with?
Is he a surface elf or another drow?
He's a surface elf.
Okay.
Although, judging by how more pale he is than a regular elf, probably has not been to the surface in a while.
As a computer scientist, I understand.
Look, it's a good joke.
That deserves a point. Give him a point.
It does take a point.
Oh, I guess what sorts of I don't know, what just sort of what do they have around? What's on display? What are like their nice fancy things that they have out?
Um, something different kinds of shields and all sorts of weaponry on different types and sizes of racks.
Sorry, my brain just stopped. No, I guess any sort of dueling weapons, one-handed swords.
Give me 1 second.
For a caster who likes to get up close and personal sometimes.
I have several things. It depends on what type of weapon you're interested in.
Fair will draw their small sword and, just say, I've had this for a long time. Got it from my family. Looking to upgrade to something a bit more magical. Or any daggers, if you have those. Saw the fellow at the entrance with the mundane ones, but looking for something a bit more interesting.
I have several things that are along that line. Ultimately depends on how much you're willing to spend.
I've recently had stroke of small good fortune.
Let me see what I have. In more of the dueling varieties. I have this more a simple one, and he pulls it out of its sheath, and it is a blued steel blade. I believe the person I acquired this from called it the Blade of Certain Death.
As opposed to all of the other swords, which are a bit less certain.
Above game, if you damage a creature with an attack with this magic rapier, they cannot regain hit points until the start of your next turn.
Plus, it's blue steel.
You and I both did it. You and I both went. Yeah, exactly. God, I hate that movie, but I love it at the same
I
time.
love that movie. Are you kidding me?
I hate it. It's so dumb.
The best. It's the best movie.
It's so dumb, but it's so quotable. Gas fight. I also have a more classic in the flame tongue variety, if that's more your speed.
Feels like that's been done already. Anything else more unique?
Two more. Actually, come to think of it, three. Although one is, no, I have one. Goes over to the other side and the other weapon racks. Pulls out of the sheath. This one is just like obsidian pitched black. I believe this one is called an Acheron blade.
Interesting. How much for that one?
Above game, it is a +1 to attack and damage. You're immune to effects that turn undead. You can use an action to give yourself 1d4 + 4 temporary hit points once per day, with the charge resetting at dusk. And when you hit a creature with a weapon, it will have disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes, unless it is immune to the frightened condition. Also, again, once per day, and refreshing dusk.
Cool.
1,400. No, 1,300 gold.
And how much for was the Blade of Certain Death?
That's a little more common. I could let that go for 800. Any interest in the last two?
Sure, let's see them.
All right. Pulls out another rapier. This one, red steel, a skull of metal capped on the handle. This is probably one of the rarest weapons I have. It's called the Nine Lives Stealer. Above game, it is a +2 magical weapon. And has 1d8 + 1 charges. If you score a critical hit and the creature is fewer than 100 hit points, it must succeed on a Constitution 15 saving throw or be killed instantly and have its soul sucked into the blade. However, once all the charges are used, it loses that property.
Would it stay a +2 weapon after that, or would it just?
Does.
Okay. Oh, that's kind of sexy too. And how much is that one?
2,000 gold.
And the last weapon?
One of the more interesting items I have in my store, if I'm being honest myself. Pulls this out, and it is white steel, maybe mithril. This is a blade of polymorph.
So I'm guessing it does something a bit more interesting than turning a creature into a dead creature.
Mhm.
I believe if you hit them, they potentially will go under the effects of the polymorph spell.
Sounds a bit too silly for my line of work, but for completeness sake, how much is that one?
That one, I'll let go for 1,800 gold.
Do you trade in magic items at all? Or only weaponry?
Been known to dabble.
What about antiques, curiosities, things that people probably have never seen before?
It would honestly depend upon the potential value I could get out of it.
Actually, take out the orb of scrying. Would you have any interest in this?
Wow, that is a natural 20 plus 5. That's investigation of the object as he kind of looks around it with his good eye. I haven't seen one of those in over a century.
But one of them may have seen you.
It's entirely possible, yes. Which weapon do you fancy?
I like the thought of the Nine Lives Stealer or the Acheron Blade. Either one of those.
If you want the 9 Lives Stealer, absolutely we can make a deal.
Sure, just the orb for the sword.
They're both equally rare, and I feel like that is a fair trade.
It's literally a fair trade.
Yes. Well, I'll get much more use out of the weapon than I have been with the orb. So, that sounds acceptable to me.
It has been a pleasure doing business with you.
Ah, likewise. I have some companions as well who are also interested in such magical weapons and other adventuring gear. May I have your names so that I can pass along a recommendation?
Nethim. Buff game Nesime.
And just sort of like looking this guy over, is he wearing any of the emblems of the Brotherhood at all?
Not on his persons.
Okay. And also, do you know anyone down here who sells goods for more bookish wizard types?
There are a few magic shops. They are fairly rare.
Which ones do you trust the most?
None of them really. I don't like anything that I can't, hold in my hand and run through someone.
I understand.
But Allen runs a fairly reputable shop if you have no other choice than to rely on magic.
Oh, right. Can you point me in that direction?
Yes. You leave here, and we'll kind of give you directions using signs rather than
Mm-hmm.
street names and such.
Mm-hmm. And then do I know what bar the others ended up at?
No clue.
Okay. Then I guess I will also ask Nessim where he likes to drink.
In the quiet of my own apartment upstairs, my shop, typically.
I agree with you there, but all right. Well, I'll just browse around. Thank you. Pleasure doing business with you.
Of course.
I guess I'll sort of make my way like slowly towards the magic shop just to see if I catch sight of any of the others or any signs of commotion.
Currently no signs of commotion.
How long does attunement take?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. Well, I guess I'll chill outside and do that while I'm waiting. Right, because I have to attune to it.
I was gonna say, let's see how many charges it has to begin with. Seven. 6 plus 1.
All right, cool.
So you really bought the 9 live stealer? Chloe's gonna be so mad at you.
I'm not stealing her lives with it.
All right. Your funeral.
I have these treats, okay? She will do literally anything for them. I have cleaned her ears, offered her these treats, and she eats them out of my hand. I think I can be forgiven.
For stealing all 9 of her lives with a blade. Anyways,
Also, I would never hit Chloe with a sword.
what is going on back at the bar? Farzu.
What's
And-
the alcohol whiskey like?
It's cheap swill.
Oh, this is a bunch of shit.
So you're starting a commotion. Got it.
What
I'm-
shit liquor?
I'm sitting in the corner with Ollie. I don't know these people.
I'm trying to see what I have. Emrys will literally just put his hand over your mouth and just slide 2 gold on the table and put another whiskey in front of you. Just glare.
I drink it.
That tracks.
Gets you drunk faster. So Dietrich is trying to track down someone in leadership with the Brotherhood. On the street, preferably.
In their office, preferably. Or at least if I can find out where their office is.
They're a gang. They have a secret hideout. They don't have an office.
Okay. Well, I assume this
Yeah.
whole place is a secret hideout.
In a way, kind of. But have you ever heard of a secret hideout in a secret hideout?
Look, I just assume this whole place is like a dwarf fortress, and I'm looking for the expedition leader.
It probably takes you a good... You've been around lower society before. It takes you probably 15-20 minutes to reasonably identify what could be described as like captain's bars on the uniform based off the rarity.
Okay. Before I walk in, I will duck around an alley and disguise self to look like a very full of myself human wealthy like businessman from like Storm Point or Storm Maw, one of the two.
Which one were you from? Or had time spent in?
I spent time in Storm Point.
Okay. So you probably would know, just for reference, to be more accurate, what a
Mhm.
businessman from there in terms of like suit and tie and accessories would probably wear.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you want to be as successful as possible with the disguise.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, I look like that. I but
Okay.
very sort of I put on this look on my face that is sort of bored, sort of like can't believe I'm actually in a place like this.
Okay. And you just want to walk into like their hideout area or their headquarters, so just like the
Mhm.
secret headquarters and the secret headquarters, so to speak. Okay. When you walk in, immediately like everything just like stops.
Yes, excuse me. I had a meeting here. It should have been on your schedule.
Roland Sit Captain Bars kind of stands up, looks you over. Typically we don't do meetings here of
Do I
any
look typical to you?
kind. No, but this is like members only kind of place.
Listen, I I appreciate your desire for secrecy. I really do. My assistant set it up and assured me that it is set to go and told me to be here at this time and I'm supposed to have a meeting.
Interesting.
I assure you it won't take long.
All right. I suppose your assistant made this meeting with somebody called the boss, I guess.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let me go get him.
Insight check.
Go for it.
Passive 16.
Okay. He's going to get the boss, but you have no idea to what ends.
Yeah.
This person comes.
Help! I'm covered in cats.
Did you have all three now?
I have 2 of the 3.
No. It's a cat apocalypse.
No, it's a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe.
Gonna cough there too.
Fucking
Sorry.
cataclysm.
It's a cataclysm.
Take a point, Mix. And this person comes down the stairs, robes hiding their face underneath the robe hood pulled up. Kind of looks at you. Can I ask what your business is here?
Well, I'm afraid that's a little delicate, if you don't mind if we stepped into your office. Or somewhere more private.
I kind of do mind, to be completely honest.
Fair enough, I understand. Well, my name is Bartleby. You know, I make up a name. I have a better deception. Dietrich has a better deception check than I do, but I make up a name.
Bartholomew James.
My name is Bartholomew James, and I'm in the import-export business in Stormpoint, and I had sent an inquiry through my assistant to your assistant or something, I'm sure, that got lost in translation, but I recently been approached about entering into a business relationship with Mr. Liren. I gather that he's had dealings with your brotherhood, and I just got a sense during our initial meeting that there was a lot he wasn't telling me, and I was trying to, well, acquire some more information about his dealings before I decide whether he's someone I want to hitch my wagon to, as it were.
Make a deception check.
Thought you'd never ask. I'm gonna use a point of inspiration on that and do it with guidance as well. All right, that's a 24. Or sorry, not a point of inspiration, luck point. I keep forgetting I have that.
What'd you get?
24.
Yeah, that is real interesting, considering I don't have an assistant. I wonder if someone's doing business in our name.
Perhaps that's what got lost in translation. I just go where they tell me.
Hmm.
I'm far too busy to make these appointments myself.
What sort of things do you import and export?
Oh, well, I mean, these days in Stormpoint, it's mostly weapons and war material and things of that nature. Which I'm sure comes as no surprise. Several of us in the business are making a great deal of money, and there are lots of folks who want in. Can't be too careful.
Understandable. Somewhat of weapon dealers ourselves. Make a perception check.
Nat 20 for a 26.
With his right hand kind of down by his side, he slowly throws something down that looks like sign language that people are looking at.
Is it Thieves' Cant or is it something else?
I will say, because these are not thieves, it is a bastardized version of Thieves' Cant.
Can I make out at least the gist?
something to the effect of, I'm going to try and keep this guy on the hook.
All right, I'll clock that, and I'm willing to stay on the hook for at least a few more minutes, hear what he's got to say.
Something of weapon dealers ourselves. I don't know what sort of deal you've made with this Liren, but I would be at least willing to hear you out on our side of things instead.
We'll see how my dealings go with Liren first, and I'll certainly take it under advisement if my corporation decides to expand our operations even further. But for now, I just wanted information on him. What sorts of dealings have you had with him?
See, I think that you walked in here thinking you were going to get information for free. Regardless
Name your price, my good man.
regardless of who you actually are. And that's not the way we do business.
I simply want to know if I can trust him.
I would hope you could. If you came all this way.
Well, it's far too lucrative of an arrangement for me to leave it to my underlings, and we've already seen the evidence of them, well, messing up yet again, and I'll be having words with them later.
So first it's an assistant, and now it's the underling's fault, or are they one and the same?
Well, it's the same difference. Assistants, underlings, employees. I mean no trouble. I simply want to know who I'm getting into bed with. And if this information will cost me anything, name your price.
Let's make this a nice round number and say 5,000 gold.
5,000 gold?
For an arms dealer of your stature, that shouldn't be a problem.
I don't have that amount on me. I mean, I can write you a check, which you can well, payable upon receipt the next time you're in Stormpoint, but I doubt that would satisfy you.
No, but I'm sure you could bring it here.
You want me to go back to Stormpoint, collect 5,000 gold, bring it back here, just to get some simple information about whether you think I should trust a man that I may or may not be entering into a business relationship with. Is this how you do business on this side of the continent?
That's how I do business with people that I don't know, don't trust, and somehow walk their way right into my headquarters. He'll snap his fingers and this wave will kind of emanate in the room. You've seen Fair do this before. That's detect magic.
I'll drop the disguise self.
He kind of was holding up his other hand, getting ready to dispel it. Shame I don't get to use my other trick.
Okay, fine. Would you like to know who I really am?
You're the new blood we've been clocking on the streets. You left town and came back.
Oh, it's nice to be clocked.
You kind of stick out a little bit.
We left town on a job. Completed the job, got back to town, got paid.
I'm intrigued as to why you want more information then.
Well, look, I'm not any kind of arms dealer, and I'm not from Stormpoint, at least not originally, but everything else I said was true. My companions and I have a prospective, longer term business arrangement that we're considering with this Lirin. He seems all right, but there's clearly a lot he's not telling us, and we're not sure whether we can trust him. We know you've had dealings with him, but we know he's no longer interested in dealing with you, and he makes it a point to avoid you. Why is that?
That is certainly true. That is certainly true. I think our obsession with upsetting the status quo makes him a little queasy. He certainly doesn't get in our way, though, which we do appreciate.
What status quo is it that you're trying to upset? I say this as a person who doesn't care much for them either.
Just look up at the surface world. Tells you everything you need to know.
I mean, it seems pretty bleak up there. What are you doing to upset it?
We're trying several different things. It used to be alright, and then they closed down the power plant.
Closed it down.
Yeah. Put a bunch
Why?
of people out on the street. I don't know. But it does raise the question, how are they getting the power now?
And if I could find out, what would that be worth to you?
We'll let you leave the city. I don't make a habit of letting people who find their way in here, regardless of how easy it is, get off the hook typically.
Don't threaten me with a good time, my friend.
You do get an A for effort, though. That was certainly the most original attempt I've seen in quite some time.
That's the first A I've ever gotten. If we do this for you, find out what happened to this power plant and who turned it off and why, and then you'll let us leave the city and you'll tell us what you think of Lirin and whether we ought to trust him.
I mean, he doesn't do business with us anymore. That's enough.
I mean, I'm trying to do business with you, and you've threatened me with my life, so far it's hard to blame him.
To be fair, you did walk in here with that disguise bullshit.
Look, it's worked before.
All right.
All right.
All right, all right, all right.
Well, I do have an idea of how I might find out, but I may need your help.
What exactly would
If
you
you,
need?
well, it involves this disguise bullshit.
All right. I'm listening.
I gather that the folks who run this power system frequently play in some high stakes poker games.
That's typically correct.
If you can get me into the room, if you can get me a spot at the table, I'll get you all the information you need.
What exactly do you want us to do? Kidnap one of the people that plays in the poker game, knock them out so you can disguise yourself as them and sneak in?
I mean, we could do that. We could position them for a slot for a guest. Uh, a wealthy businessman from Storm Point, you might say.
Come up with a better name and I'll consider it. Spread the
I
word.
will. I will absolutely come up with a better name. I panicked, and that was the first thing I could think of.
Come with a
Note
better
take.
name. We'll spread the rumor around town that there's a wealthy businessman in town. See if they bite.
All right.
The one thing we thrive on is information.
Call me Azriel. No last name, just Azriel.
You really need to get better at the whole names thing. But other than that, no notes.
Azriel was my grandfather's name, sir. How dare you?
Well, my apologies. Kind of looks over to the two people. You can unlock the door now. Door you came in, you hear the latch unlock, which you did not hear get locked.
No.
We'll find you.
Well, I would say I look forward to it, but I hope our next encounter goes better than this one.
I'm certain it will.
Yeah, I'll exit the room.
Okay.
And then get the wand of sending and ask the others where they are.
They will tell you they're at the Red Door Bar. There, you're going to Allen's, the magic store.
Um, Yeah, assuming I don't see any sign of the others first.
You would not. You walk into Allen's. Behind the counter, at the back of this is a goblin with like short braided beard, gray eyes with kind of red pupils, just kind of sitting there looking at the door.
I'm just sort of browsing around, like, what does he have on display?
Actually, some magical items, few magic weapons laying around. A fair number of spell scrolls, components.
Okay. I'll browse the spell scrolls. I'm imagining the spell scrolls. He's got like a binder with like those binder pages, the like cheap plastic binder pages, and the spell scrolls are in there like magic cards on the desk.
Oh, God. No, they're on like a rack on like one of the walls, and they're labeled. They're very tiny, so you have to get really close to read them. He has Tiny Servant, Tiny Hut, Faithful Hound,
Tiny Dancer.
Tiny Dancer, Earthquake, Ray of Sickness, Circle of Death, Summon Elemental, and Planar Binding.
Neat. Well, I remember Circle of Death is a fun spell.
And a fun drinking game.
True.
How much for the Scroll of Circle of Death?
Alright, that is a 6th level spell slot. So that would be 1,600 gold.
Alright, let's see, what is Earthquake?
It's an 8th level spell.
Okay.
Also above game, 4,000 gold.
And Summon Elemental?
Is a 4th level spell.
Oh, Tiny Servant, that sounds adorable. Let's see, Tidy Hut we don't need, because if anyone else needs it, they can just copy it from Fair's spellbook. How much is Planar Binding? It's a higher level spell, I think.
It's a 5th level, so
Okay.
that is 1,000 gold.
1,000. Okay. Oops. Oh, and now how much for the Ray of Sickness?
That is a 1st level spell scroll, so it is 80 gold.
Okay.
Someone's doing math.
Yep. Okay. Someone also has too many windows open.
I don't know what you're talking about. I only have 18 tabs open right now.
Oh no, I'm talking about me.
Yeah. No, I knew. I just felt like that was attacking me too for having D&D tabs open.
How dare you?
How dare I? Dare I? How dare you?
As I will ask the proprietor if he would be willing to part with the Circle of Death scroll for 1400.
I am typically not in the habit of making deals. However, if you are buying something else with that, then we can have a conversation.
Oh, right. In that case, I may go find my friends and come back. I have one of my companions may be interested in your spell components as well.
Righty.
So I will, I guess, head out at that point. Make sure I remember my way back here, and I don't know, just sort of look for the closest bar I can find.
As I'm making my way to the bar, do I see Fair along the way? I don't know what direction everything's in.
Mhm.
Timeline. You're the opposite direction. Timeline wise, you probably get there about 15 minutes before them.
Okay.
But
But we all get there.
I would say you'd probably hear as far as you bitching about the whiskey through from outside.
Can I?
Well, I would say if I get there first and I see that Fair's not there,
That is also
I'll
true.
probably
Yeah.
wand of sending like, "Hey, we're at this place."
Okay.
I could probably also message her.
Them.
You them. You
Them.
don't know the general direction though.
Um,
You have to point at them. Brian's problem before.
oh yeah. Duh. Never mind.
Also, mostly stone walls down here.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I can. See, I can locate creature, right?
Well, Dietrich will message you.
Okay.
I can make it there.
All right, so that's 2 charges down from the wand.
Okay.
Because I used 1 to get here.
Yes.
Well, now that you're all together, I suppose You should know that I sort of stepped in it. And I'll tell them what happened.
I mean, did you scrape it off the bottom of your shoe, or did you track it in here for all of us?
Well, figuratively, Nymeria. It seems that the Brotherhood wasn't too happy at me pricking my way into their little secret hiding place. Now they're pissed, but it turns out that in order to make it right and get them to let us leave the city, all I have to do is the thing I was gonna try to do anyway. So, win-win.
Fair just stands up and goes directly to the bar and orders whiskey.
8 silver.
I'll give him a gold.
Thank you.
It seems that the Brotherhood is very much interested in the power plant situation as well, and why it was shut off, and what the situation is there. They want information. And information can be got at one of these poker games, and I want to be in the poker game. Lirin and the Brotherhood both have money that can stake me, potentially. So I think I'd like to get in, win a whole bunch of money, learn all the information I need to learn, get out, and then I can hopefully get us permission to leave the city. What could go wrong?
Wait, you can't leave the city?
None of us can leave the city. They've been clocking us the whole time we've been here, apparently.
Wait, we're not allowed to leave the city.
No, because I fucked up.
Hmm.
But I have a way to fix it.
Hmm.
And my way to fix it, hopefully, involves us also making a shit ton of money.
Hopefully. Unless they take that.
It's poker. Nothing's for certain. But look, I'm not just coming to you with a problem, I'm coming to you with a potential solution. Don't be too mad. Please?
I feel like that's a lot to process. Although I will say, not the only solution, but a potential one.
The most fun one.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any response to Dietrich? and his fun solutions.
Just kind of look at him, just like, "Hmm."
But I want you all to come in there with me, of course. You can be my entourage. And I don't think I'll be able to learn all of this information myself.
Well, at the very least, I am quite curious about their whole electrical system. The more they seem to guard it, the more guard how it works, the more curious I admit I am.
Same, to be honest.
So, fine. Where do we get started? Where can I get started?
Well, the Brotherhood is gonna put the word out that a certain wealthy businessman from Stormpoint is looking to get into a game. And I think then we see if they bite.
I imagine you plan on going in with one of your magical disguises.
Well, magical disguise only lasts for an hour. And at a poker table, that's nothing. I'll need a real one.
So how are we supposed to get you a real disguise?
Suppose we'll need to find a tailor.
I could just skin someone.
Or that. That's also an idea.
I think finding a tailor sounds easier.
And cutting Farzu off. There was a pre-roll ad. I came back to it, and the first thing I heard was, I could skin someone. Hashtag just D&D things. Alright, I will let you all process this for a whole 3 weeks.
Oh boy. Oh god. I'm sorry, guys.
Just remember you did this to yourself.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I messed up. Alright, guys. I'm gonna rate another D&D channel, and we'll see you all next Wednesday for the one shot. Bye!